Of course, when I moved the phone, I disconnected us. So that's just great. Now this video will be in two parts. Bear with me a minute, guys. Technology can be a real pain in the butt. For those of us who are challenged. Okay. All right, so that kind of wipes out. Yeah, we're back. Yeah, I disconnected us when I moved the camera. So sorry about that. I hope to get everybody else back. I'll wait just a second. Hopefully everyone will figure out what happened and come back in. Okay. All right. Sorry for the bad start. All right, Marianne, you were asking about the jump ring tool. It's a system. I'm gonna move this again. It's a system that I got from Potter USA. Pepe Tools makes them as well. This is an old version. I've had this for quite some time, so it's kind of old, but the function is the same. There's two parts of it. There's a wire winder here, and you pick out the size mandrel that you want. Say if you want 4mm jump rings. These are all numbered here on the bottom. They're hard to see, but they're numbered. This is the mandrel for a more 4mm jump ring. So you would put this in the wire winder, tighten it up. This would be clamped to the table, and then I would insert my wire in here and then wind it all the way around till I get a whole long coil of jump rings. Once the coil is made, you take it out, and then you would put the coil in this little gizmo here. It's got like a little trough in here that's kind of drilled out. This one came with only this side. This is the standard cutting side, but my daughter had a friend who was living in the area a while back, and he is a machinist, and he cut this out for me so I can make bigger jump rings on that side. Unfortunately, he moved far away, so I can't utilize his talents anymore. But anyway, you put the coil in here, and then you cover it with this top, screw it down. First of all, before you put your coil in, you're going to run some cut lube on it, some lubrication on there, and then cover this up. And then there's a blade that goes in your handpiece in the Fordham, and you put this hood thing over it first. This isn't the Fordham here, but just for an example, you put this in first and then put your blade on. You screw your blade on in the Fordham, and then you pull this up. So this sits inside of this little window here. This is just for your protection, this here. And then you take this whole thing and put the blade in the guide here, and then run your handpiece across, and all your jump rings are cut that way. So I hope that answers your question, Marianne. I mean, this is just a real not thought out thing, but just to answer your question, that is what I use to make my jump rings. It's very handy because it has so many different sizes of mandrels. You can make all different kinds of sizes of jump rings and have them all available for when you need them, or you just make them as you need them. I tend to like to have a lot of different size varieties on hand for other projects too. Okay. All right, so back to this. All right, so I was starting to open up some jump rings, and like I said, I had already pre-opened a bunch because I didn't think you'd want to sit here for a half an hour and watch me open jump rings. That is beyond boring. No, that's that really good closed one. All right. Hi, Dawn. Okay, so when you're starting out, I don't know what I did with my little twist tie. There it is. All right, so I just have like a twist tie from a bread wrapper or something similar, and I just use this in the beginning, making my chain, just for something to hold on to the chain a little bit better. So I'm going to start with 2 closed jump rings. So just 2 closed really well, and insert them in my twist tie. And then just twist it closed a little bit. Just something to hold on to. You could use a piece of wire as well if you wanted to. All right, so to those 2 closed jump rings, I'm going to add 2 jump rings. That's number 1. And number 2. So I have, that's why it's called the 2 and 2. There's 2 jump rings. That's the only weave. It's not really a weave, I don't think, but I guess you could call it that. We're going to do that for the entire bracelet. So to those 2, I'm going to add another 2. Make sure you close them nice and tight and evenly, because you don't want any scratchiness. So I'm going to do 4 sets of 2s. Okay, I'm going to do 4 sets of 2s, and I'm going to set that down. Then I'm going to take the larger jump rings. Let me come down here a little bit more. I'm going to take the larger jump rings, and I'm going to put close one up, and then put another one inside this one. This is to make the rosette. So I have 2 hooked together right there. Now I'm going to take a 3rd jump ring, and I'm going to place that jump ring right here in the middle of where these are joined, in this section right here. Well, that slipped away from me, so let me reposition that. This is as complicated as it gets, which is not very. All right, so then you've got your 3, and then you just kind of smush them together a little bit, and that forms your rosette, which is pretty easy. Easy enough. So then I'm going to take another jump ring, another 4mm, and pick up my little rosette and pass it through and close it up, and then take another jump ring, because we're always working in twos on the chain, except for the rosettes, those are 3. And make sure you grab all 3 rings, that all 3 rings go through the 4mm jump ring. Okay. All right. And now, actually what I should have done is I need to have a double row here. So I'll just leave that at that for right now, but I'll start making the double row on this next one. So I'm going to put a 4mm jump ring through the opposite end of the rosette. Close that up. Put 2 into that one. Close that up. See, if you have these opened already, you can just grab them. You don't have to stop to open them. It's just a pain to open them up, but you'll be happy you did once you start working. I'll do this little section and then I'll stop and explain that again. I'm just putting 2 jump rings into 2 jump rings, closing them tightly and adding 2 more. And I'm going to do 4 sets of 2s. Which is right here. And then I'm going to start back right below the, or right into the jump ring, or to the rosette, I'm sorry, and add another. This is going to be my double row here. I know it's probably hard for you to see what I'm doing. I just can't get the close-ups that would be nice to have. Oh, putting that on the wrong ring. I gotta take that other one off. See, I was yapping and not paying attention. Take that one off because that one's already complete. Put that on the other side here. This is also beautiful in sterling. If you wanted to do it in silver, it makes a really nice, substantial bracelet. It's also nice to be working with good pliers when you do chainmail to prevent a lot of hand fatigue. All right, so I've got my two rows here. That's the double row, and I will add another one here, not to confuse you here. But once you've got your 4 on, you can go ahead and make another rosette, which is 2 jump rings, 1 jump ring in the other, and then you take a 3rd open jump ring and you're going to place it right in the middle here between these two jump rings. That way it will lay properly if it's picked up that way. Isn't that cute? Just very simple. Little rosette there. All right, so now I'm going to connect this to this by picking up a 4mm jump ring, going through the last two, and going through all three of the rosette rings. And we're always working in twos on the main part of the chain. So I've got that little section hooked up. Now I'm going to hook up this side. So I'll go through those last two. Make sure that you have all three links of the rosette caught in there. And if your jump ring's not open wide enough to get all three of them, you need to open it up a little bit further. There, I got it. Oh, I missed where I was here. You have to go through those last two. I'm going to open this a little bit wider. Okay, so there is one section right there. And then we're just going to build and keep building on this. I'll do another section, and then I've already made a few of these little sections ahead of time just to speed up this process for the demo. All right, so put these on here. I should have probably done this one in silver, but I had these already made, and I didn't have enough silver rings, and I just honestly didn't feel like cutting them this morning. So that's my reason. But chainmail, especially something like this, this pattern is very simple. You can do this anywhere. I know I've said it before, but you could take this on a plane. You could sit on, have this sit on your lap in the evening when you're watching TV. Of course, you have to pay attention to what you're doing. But I like to have projects that I can sit and work on while I'm relaxing. And my husband likes to watch TV in the evenings, and I don't mind having it on. I don't pay attention to it a whole lot, but it's just nice to have something to keep my hands busy, so I'm not eating all the time, because that can be an issue. The evening is my downfall for that. I can pretty much go all day without much of anything to munch on, but come evening time, relaxing, I'm in my jammies, sitting in my easy chair, and nice to have something to munch on. Hey, Wendy. Oh my. Well, I hope your husband's okay. That was probably, I don't know how far away you are from Buffalo, but that's nice that you're able to do that. Hope everything will be okay. All right. So where are we at here? It's quiet again. My husband went to get my grandson from school, and so it's very, very peaceful around here right now. All right, so I've got my 4 sets of 2 on here, and I'm ready for another rosette. Hi, Carolyn. Yep, I'm doing fine, thank you. So I've got my 2 7mm hooked together here, and I'm going to pass the third in the center of those 2. All right, so that's all 3. You just kind of move them around a little bit till they sit the right way, and then take another set of 2 to connect that rosette to the rest of the chain. It's a nice sunny day out here. I don't know about your part of the country, but it's nice to see the sun shining. We've had a couple of gloomy days lately. But the promise of spring is in the air. My friend Deb that lives in Chicago has started a bunch of seedlings for our beading group. She did that last year, and it was wonderful. She grew a bunch of varieties of tomatoes and other things, but we were mainly interested in the tomatoes. And this year she's gotten a ton more seeds, and we're going to have a feast of tomatoes, and I believe she got peppers as well, a bunch of varieties of peppers. So that's always a fun time in the spring. While I'm talking here, earlier when I put these little links together, I did a series of 5 instead of 4 that I just noticed. So I took off 2 because I need to connect 2 to the rosette. These are the little pre-made sections that I made, just to kind of speed up the demo a little bit. But getting back to the tomatoes, I'm very excited to get those. She grew so many different varieties last year, and I had never tried the Cherokee Purple. I think that's what it's called, or Purple Cherokee. I'm not sure which way that goes, but they are an heirloom tomato, and they're just delicious. They're not really purple. They're kind of a strange dark red, different than anything I've seen before, but very nice. So I'm looking forward to those again this year. San Marzanos, I have planted those before, Marianne. They're wonderful for tomato sauce or to make tomato paste. But I don't know. I haven't had real good luck with them the last few years. I'm not really sure why, but I have these planter boxes that I've been putting my stuff in, and I don't know if they're not happy with those, or I think they're better in the ground than in the pots. So that's just a guess. I really can't say that for certain. I'm screwing up because I'm talking. But I love them for cooking. They're a wonderful, meaty tomato. I did this to save time, and it looks like I'm wasting more time trying to fix these. Anybody else garden out there? Oh, duh. I gotta make my little rosette. There's the two hooked together. And put that in the middle. And close that up. And now, this set that I just put on here for nothing, I open that up and I dropped it. Make sure it's oriented the right way. I didn't close this one very well. You want to close your jump rings as best you can so that you don't have like little uneven pieces of wire jabbing at you or hooking on your clothing. Okay, and so I've got 4 on this other, and I'll hook 2 onto there and hook that onto the rosette. It actually goes fairly fast. There are some very difficult, intricate chainmail patterns that I haven't done too many intricate ones. I've done some, but I think it would be too difficult to try to do that on a demo. I'm not really sure if you could really see exactly what I'm doing without being in person. That's the good thing about an in-person class, is that you're there to help when somebody is not quite understanding or can't really see it, and it's so much easier to help in that situation. All right. Open those up a little bit more. I think I've been thinking about next week and what I'm going to do for a demo, and I'm thinking I may do something with glass, some little simple glass flowers on copper wire, but I'm going to maybe play with that idea tomorrow after. I would do it after the demo today, but Max will be here, so that's not going to happen when Max is here. So, and I think I mentioned he wants to do the challenge So, oh, I forgot I made this other big section here to connect to. I guess I'm going to have to take some of this off because that's going to be like a huge bracelet. But this will save time to put these on here. So there should be 5 sets of 2s between rosettes, okay, so that they lay right. I would say it's gonna, if you wanted to make them longer between rosettes, you'd have to do them in odd numbers so that they lay right. All right, so let me get this hooked together, and then I'll take apart what I don't need at the other end of this. That shortens the monotony. And then what I'll do is I'll make the clasp and solder a 7mm jump ring closed so that we can use that for the opposite end of the clasp. And then it'll all be put together. Yeah, I was just working away here, not thinking about that piece that I had already made earlier to help out here. How long would the bracelet be with 5 sections plus the clasp? Well, that depends on how long you need it to be. I can show you for myself. This fits me. This one that's already done it fits me, and let's measure this from tip to tip. It is 8 inches. That's with the hook opened up. Okay, and that has, well, I have a little shorter section on one end here. I had to shorten it a little bit so that it fit right, which you can do. But from rosette to rosette, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rosettes in my bracelet that fits me. Now this one, because I was yakking, I have more on here than I need. So what I'll do is take off I'll use this section here for the hook, and then all I have to do is just take off this section here at the end, and we should be good. If you guys like doing chainmail, and you have a flex shaft already, I would seriously consider getting the jump ring attachment thingy, because you will save a lot of money in the long run. In the initial investment is always a lot in just about anything, but if it's stuff that you're going to use a lot, it pays for itself very quickly. A lot of times you can't find the right sizes online of things that you need, and this way you can make them just exactly what you need. All right, so let's see here. All right, so I'm going to say that's pretty much done on that end. And, oh, I didn't close this one very well. That's the other thing, is you should inspect your work as you go along to make sure that you're closing everything properly. See, now, like I said before, I used 8mm 18 gauge for the rosettes on this bracelet, and I like the tightness of the 16 gauge and the 7mm jump rings. All right, so on this end, I can take off my twist tie. I could have taken that off a long time ago. And to have this lay right, I am going to take off these last two jump rings, because if you don't, then your oh, wait a minute, then your clasp part doesn't lay right. All right, so I've got that, that, and that. I'm taking two sections off. Okay. All right. So then I'll make the clasp and we'll do the closed jump ring. Move this up again. Move this out of the way. And I'm going to use 14 gauge wire for my clasp. And for the long, I'm using long round nose pliers that have steel wool all over them. It's like magnetic. So for the long round nose pliers, I'm using 2 1/4 inches of wire. So stuff's flying all over. So I'll flush cut this piece. And get my bench block and chasing hammer, and I'm going to just flatten this very tip of this wire here. All right, and then I'm going to get a standard round nose pliers and just bend this around to make like a little P shape. Straighten that out a little bit. Then I'm going to put the P shape facing away from me and all the way to the back of the pliers, like that. And then I'm going to push this wire up and over and to touch the back of the little P, and then pull that out, and you get your little shepherd's hook right there. And then turn the shepherd's hook upside down with the hook towards me, and all the way to the back of the plier again with the tip of the wire just barely showing, and roll this away from me. You have to do it in 2 different rolls. In 2 rolls, I should say. And then you have a little half S hook or shepherd's hook, or I'm not really sure what you call these things. Little clasp. And then I'm going to take my chasing hammer and I'm going to hit the arc of this hook here with the ball peen end of my hammer. And I'm hitting down, but I'm also kind of pulling and stretching the wire out a little bit, which is hard to tell. Okay. and that hardens that clasp up and gives it a little bit of shine. So I have the one side for my clasp, and now all I need is a 8mm jump ring. I'm sorry, 7mm jump ring. It's the same ones that I used in the rosettes. And I'm going to close this nice and tight. Okay, and then this is just a real simple thing for one little ring. Where did I put it? Oh, I put it on the bench block. Okay. So I've got that split end facing towards me. I'm going to put a little bit of flux on the ring. Grab a teeny piece of solder. All you need is a tiny piece. And my solder pick. Warm up my ring all the way around. I'm going to grab my solder right here. I think I need to clean my solder pick. Okay. Heat that up and go in for the kill right here. Okay. So it's stuck to my board. Okay. So now this would go into the pickle, just to clean this fire scale off of here. And then I would file any rough spots for the inside of the ring. I'll use like a needle file, a round needle file, and clean all that out, you know, if there's any excess on there. And on the outside, actually I could hit it. I could hit it with a file, or I could hit it with my micromotor. But it still needs to go in the pickle. Okay, so, and then it would be cleaned up. If you have any solder lines showing, then you would need to put it in some old pickle to plate it, and that will cover that little silver seam that's in there. But if you don't use a lot of solder, you won't have a lot of cleanup. So that's a really good thing. All right, and of course, I made a set already that I've cleaned and patinaed, and put it on here to connect to this. to these rings on the end. So I'll have to open up. And on this way, on this, I need to take off that that last set of 2s so that my jump rings are going the right way. Although this might be a little bit short if I do that. Maybe I'll add 2 on. We'll do that. That way everything's going in the right direction. So put 2 on this side. 2 on that side. Come back here. Well, that's not right. You can tell if stuff's not laying right. You should stop at that point and kind of figure out what's not laying right. This is just what I was not wanting to do. I think I was okay without adding the 2. Yeah. No. Sometimes I don't know whether I'm coming or going. It's like it makes sense initially and then it doesn't. I think I just twisted it before. That's the right way. So I was doing it right, but I think I just twisted it. Yep, that looks right. Okay. All right, and on the other end, where I began, I had only put one one unit on here, but I think, well, actually I should make them the same. But that's totally up to you. Okay. Almost done. This actually is a shorter demo than most. But I suspect when I do the glass flowers, that might be a little bit longer. Okay, another set here. So I'm working in 2s all along. And you know, I'm done now basically, but always check your length as you feel like you're getting closer to the size that you need. Remember to check your length periodically. All right, so now I'm just going to attach this clasp. Well, I guess I'll just attach it to all four. And the easiest way to do that is just to open this up rather than opening all four jump rings again. Is just open that side up and then just scoop these all up here. There you go. And make sure that your hook is open enough that you can slide your ring through it, but yet not too open that you'll lose your bracelet. Just enough. I've made a lot of these. I've never lost one. It's just a matter of finding that right distance to keep them closed. Open, you know, the space that you have open here. So that's pretty simple. And I like it a lot. It is a nice weight. It's not too heavy. It's not too light. It's a nice size. It doesn't fall halfway down my hand. And it doesn't bind me at all. It should have movement. Your bracelets should have movement. You should never be tight on your wrist. And especially in the summertime when you get all sweaty and stuff, you don't want your jewelry sticking to you. So that's it. So, do you have any questions? It's pretty short and sweet, but I like it. And like I said before, in silver, I think it would be even nicer, you know. So there you go. So now I have two, but I think I'm going to swap these rosettes out in the first one that I made. I just think that they look too thin. Comparison wise, I think the other one just looks a little bit nicer. So if you guys make anything like this, make sure you post it. I'd like to see what you do. Like I said, in the world of chainmail, this is a very simple project. And something's not laying right in this original one here. There's something twisted right here. I can see that. So I'll have to take that apart, and I think I've just twisted over a jump ring or so. But I have to open this anyway because I'm going to replace, like I said, these bigger rings here. I don't quite like them. So thanks, Suni. All right, guys. I guess that's going to be it for today. If you have any questions or comments you want to leave on the group page, feel free. And like I said, I think I'm going to do glass flowers next week on pieces of 18 gauge copper. That's at least what I'm thinking about right now. I think that would be something different. You know, not everybody's going to be able to do it, of course, if you don't have lamp working stuff, but sometimes it's just fun to see different processes, you know, and see if there's something else that might pique your interest. And we'll go from there. So, all right, you guys, take care, and thanks for joining me. I always am happy to see you guys here and be with me. So take care. Bye-bye.